Hello, my name is Brant Hunt. Today is the 19th day of May 2022, and I wish you a merry day today. Wish you a good day. I'm going to be reading from John Taylor Gatto. The book is called The Underground History of American History, which was written in 2002. Mr. Gatto passed away a few years ago, so he's no longer with us. He was a teacher in New York City, and he was also a Teacher of the Year in the state of New York, I think once or twice, if I recollect. This is from page 206, and this is talking about what I would call the title of the snippet here, basically less than a page long, is called Emptiness, the Master Theory. I gave a quote today earlier about someone going into back in the early 1900s and children working in a factory. And they were asked, would they rather go to school or be here? And overwhelmingly, almost all of them, not quite, probably 90% of them said they'd rather stay here in this dirty place where they're working instead of going to school. Kind of tells you something here. So here we go. This is something what John Taylor Gatto speaks of, how education is actually a master's theory, the emptiness that is. The conception of emptiness to be filled as the foundation metaphor of schooling are not confined to hollowness and plasticity, but also includes theories of mechanicalism. D.E. Lamont Maitre, I guess is how you pronounce it, must be French, in a book called Man, a Machine. Visions from the Enlightenment, for instance, is evident of an idea regularly recurring for millennia. So this whole idea has been going on for a long time. Okay. If we are mechanisms, we must be predetermined, as Calvin said. Now he's speaking of John Calvin here. Then the whole notion of education is nonsensical. There is no independent inner essence to be drawn for and developed. Only adjustments are possible, and if the contraption doesn't work right, it should be junked. Everything important about machinery is superficial. This notion of machine emptiness has been the master theory of human nature since the beginning of the 19th century. It still takes turns in curriculum formation with theories of vegetable emptiness, placid emptiness, system emptiness, and from time to time, some good old-fashioned locking blank sheet emptiness. Nobody writes curriculum for self-determined spiritual individuals and expects to sell it in the public school market. You do understand that books are sold. In other words, we go back to past people in what I would call teachers. They didn't depend upon books. They usually quoted from their head what we call ideas and principles or morals. And so what has happened here in many ways is that they brought in books to actually skew people's minds. It's a disturbing fact about education. This hardline empiricalism descends to us most directly from Locke and Hume, who both said mind lacks capacities and powers of its own. There's no intimate contents. Everything etched there comes from simple sense impressions mixed and compounded. This chilly notion was greatly refined by the French ideologists who thought the world so orderly and mechanical, the future course of history could be predicted on the basis of position and velocity of molecules. For these men, the importance of human agency vanished entirely. With Napoleon, these ideas were given global reach a few years later. So seductive is this mechanical worldview, it has proven itself immune to damage by facts which which contradict it. Get my deal here. So what he's quoting from is a couple of people here in this. And this is from Julien Offray de la Mettrie. Dates of his life were 1709 to 1751. Was the earliest of the materialistic writers of the Enlightenment. His conclusion that religious thought was a physical disorder akin to fever forced him to flee France. In the middle of the 18th century, his two master works called Man, a Machine, and Man, a Plant, stated principles which are self-evident from the titles. The ethics of these principles are worked out in later essays. The purpose of life is to pleasure the senses. Virtue is measured by self-love. The hope of the world lies in the spread of atheism. De la Mettrie was compelled to flee the Netherlands and accept the protection of Frederick of Prussia in 1748. The chief authority for his life in a eulogy entitled The Elegy, written by Frederick II himself. And then another footnote here. Ideologue is a term coined by Antonio Destitute de Tracy around 1790 to describe these empiricalists and rationalists concerned to establish a new order in the intellectual realm, eradicating the influence of religion, replacing it with universal education as the premier solution to the problem of reforming human shortcomings. They believe that Hume's rationalized morality after the methods of chemistry, physics, mathematics, and astronomy was the best way to accomplish this. So I just thought I'd give you a short snippet again of what John Taylor Gatto speaks of here. I got this book back in March. And so what he means here is kind of interesting. He uses the word plasticity, meaning that simply is that you're molding someone's mind. That's what they're doing. The problem is simply they're not giving him anything because it's empty. There's nothing there. For example, students today are just basically memorize the right answers. That's what they do. They don't have any way of actually coming to those answers whatsoever. They just memorize them. That's why you have the SAT and the ACT here in America that actually, it just says you're a good memorizer. You remember everything. You have a good memory, but you can't logically come to a concept of just basically simplicity. 1 + 2 = 3. You see, the new math is also a part of that. It's confusion too. And that was also going on. That was being taught at the University of Georgia. A friend I knew in the early 90s was teaching the new math. The new math basically was the idea for teachers that any answer is good. Let the child express himself. Well, there's nothing wrong with expressing himself, but the problem simply is it's not the right answer. So, you're teaching children just to giving an answer, and you're giving them check marks as though they're giving them stars as though that's what it's all about. Well, what are you wasting time for? You can do that at home, you see, because you're just simply manipulating students. That's what you're doing, and you're getting paid for it. In fact, the sad part simply is, if you're a teacher and you're doing this, shame on you, really. Are you really actually helping these kids, or are you simply there to make money, and you believe in the system that actually is destroying kids? That's kind of hard to say, maybe, but basically, what I see simply is that, I'm very straightforward. And if you're manipulating people or doing these things for money, you need to be doing something else, because you not only have destroyed yourself, but you're destroying other people, especially young minds. And that's not right. Okay. I'll give you some more. Hopefully, I'll give you some not videos. Yeah, videos here. The founder of all this public education nonsense that's espoused today, that they spend thousands and thousands of dollars per pupil, they say, but the product keeps getting worse and worse, and it's done on purpose. That's as simple as it can be. Again, if you have any comments, more welcome to listen to what you share. Appreciate you listening. And if you just, the whole desire here for me is for others is if you have a deep longing for the truth, pursue it. Thank you. Have a great day.